movie kicks off by introducing us to the Ghost Rider, a man bound to Mephisto, Marvel's very own devil. His job, collecting contracts, meaning the souls of the damned, and this time he's sent to the village of San Venganza, a place filled with nothing but wicked people. The problem is, the Ghost Rider realizes that if he hands the contract over to Mephisto, the demon will become powerful enough to take over the entire world. So the Ghost Rider rebels. He escapes with the contract containing the souls of San Venganza. Centuries later, we meet the Blaze family, Barton, the father, and his son Johnny. The two make a living performing death-defying stunts in a circus. Johnny, though, is even more reckless than his dad. He's a total show-off, especially when his girlfriend Roxanne is in the audience. That bad boy attitude gets Johnny scolded by his father, who reminds him that Roxanne would never stick around for a guy who ends up in a wheelchair. The irony? Barton is hardly in any position to judge. He smokes more than a coal factory and has developed a cough that sounds like a dying engine. Instead of grabbing antibiotics, Barton's solution seems to be chain-smoking Marlboros. Yeah, that'll fix it. One day, Roxanne tells Johnny she's leaving town because her dad has had enough of her and is sending her off to her mother's. Johnny doesn't take it well and swears he'll run away with her. He says, "Meet me here tomorrow at noon," to which she replies,
"Okay, handsome."
Honestly, it makes no sense why Johnny would ditch his sick father just to elope with Roxanne. Wouldn't it have been easier to just ask her to move in with them? Anyway, when Johnny gets home, he finds out his dad has lung cancer and it's already spread. At that point, he should have rushed Barton to the hospital to start chemotherapy, just like the doctor recommended in a letter. But since common sense isn't Johnny's strong suit, he goes to tinker with his motorcycle instead. That's where he meets Mephisto. The devil reveals he knows about Barton's illness and offers Johnny a deal. Ride for him and his father will be as strong as a horse, basically cured of cancer. This is where Johnny could have beaten this movie. Think about it, Barton's already older, meaning he could pass away naturally at any time. On top of that, the guy clearly isn't giving up his Marlboros, so the cancer would probably come back anyway. And most importantly, if someone that shady has the power to magically heal people, it's obviously not coming from a good place. Johnny should have realized the devil never offers a deal without a catch. Instead, Johnny could have just said no and let some other sucker sign his life away.
Get the hell out of here.
What makes it worse is that 2 hours earlier, Johnny was ready to abandon his dad entirely, and now suddenly he's willing to sell his soul to save him. Doesn't add up. Johnny asks to read the contract, but he accidentally cuts his finger on the paper. That drop of blood is all Mephisto needs to seal the deal. Once again, Johnny fumbles the bag. Before signing, or bleeding, he could have negotiated for better terms. Something like guaranteeing Barton a few more decades of health, free of disease. Mephisto clearly wanted him badly enough to bargain, but nope. Next morning, Barton wakes up fit as a horse, telling Johnny he's been healed. The x-rays confirm it. The cancer's gone. Barton then admits his dream isn't jumping through flaming hoops anymore. It's to jump his motorcycle over a helicopter. Yeah, sure, that sounds way out of his league, and unsurprisingly, the stunt goes horribly wrong. Thanks to Mephisto's sabotage, Barton crashes and burns, literally straight to the afterlife. Barton might have actually survived if Johnny hadn't rushed onto the ramp mid-performance. That snap to his neck. If it wasn't broken before, it definitely was after. Devastated, Johnny tries to run from Mephisto, but the devil appears in the middle of the road and reminds him Barton was healed as promised, and now it's time for Johnny to honor his side of the bargain. Mephisto tells Johnny to forget about his friends and family. His soul belongs to the devil now. And whenever Mephisto needs him, the Ghost Rider will be summoned. Desperate, Johnny shows up at the spot where he was supposed to run away with Roxanne, but instead of explaining anything, he basically breaks up with her on the spot and speeds off on his bike. Decades later, Johnny has become a celebrity daredevil, pulling off insane motorcycle stunts by jumping over fleets of trucks. Somehow, he survives every single jump, though the landings are far from graceful. Strangely enough, he never even gets a scratch. He just stands up like nothing happened. That's when we meet Mac, Johnny's manager and closest friend, who's worried about Johnny's reckless streak. Mac swears Johnny must have some guardian angel watching over him, but Johnny knows the truth is way darker. Meanwhile, another player enters the game, Blackheart, Mephisto's rebellious son. Somehow, he's managed to sneak onto Earth, and the first thing he does is stroll into a bar for a cold drink. One biker at the bar tries to stop him at the door, but Blackheart answers by turning him into a human husk in seconds. Not stopping there, there, Blackheart slaughters 10 more people inside the bar, and to really make a point, even the waitress doesn't survive. After the massacre, Blackheart calls an unholy team meeting with 3 fallen angels who command the elements: Abagor, who controls air, Wallow, who controls water, and Grizzle, who controls earth. He wastes no time telling them his plan. He's heard rumors that the contract of San Venganza is hidden in a cemetery nearby. If he gets his hands on it, he'll gain unlimited power and conquer Earth. The fallen angels agree to help because, of course, they're pure evil. Mephisto, however, is not on board. He warns his son that it isn't his time to rule Earth just yet. But since Mephisto's powers don't work in that realm, he can't lay a hand on Blackheart. So Mephisto decides to send in his enforcer, the Ghost Rider, to bring Blackheart down. But Blackheart just smirks and tells his father to go ahead and try. While all this is going on, Johnny is about to push his luck even further. This time, he plans to jump 6 military helicopters, fulfilling the dream his father once had. Covering the event is none other than Roxanne, now a reporter. She's still bitter about the way Johnny ditched her years ago, but that doesn't stop Johnny from trying to charm his way back into her life. Since she isn't exactly swooning, Johnny ups the stakes and declares he'll jump the helicopters. Secretly, he's testing his curse. If he crashes, maybe it'll prove Mephisto doesn't control his life. But of course, Johnny's soul is bound tight. He clears the field with ease, like signing another contract with the devil himself. Afterward, he hunts Roxanne down and eventually convinces her to go on a date with him that night. Too bad Johnny's not getting lucky, because as soon as he's about to leave home, Mephisto shows up again, reminding him it's time to get to work. Johnny can hardly believe it. He actually has to clock in for the devil. His body starts to burn, his bike comes alive, and he's dragged on a hellfire ride through the city streets. The Ghost Rider ends up at a train station where Blackheart is interrogating a security guard. The terrified man admits the old cemetery has been relocated elsewhere. Before he can say more, Blackheart kills him on the spot, just as Ghost Rider arrives at the scene. Unfortunately, Ghost Rider moves slower than my grandma on her way to the bathroom. Seriously, why crawl in at 2 miles per hour? To make it worse, Johnny has a hellfire chain he could have used from a distance to strike Blackheart down instantly. Instead, he strolls through the station like he's on a Sunday walk, only to get bulldozed by one of the elemental demons. Gressel climbs out of the truck, bragging that taking down the rider was a piece of cake. But Johnny's airbag is crash-proof. He wraps the demon up in his hellfire chain and roasts him like a barbecue. Gressel begs the others for help, but they act like they don't even know the rookie villain. Blackheart and the fallen angels bail, leaving Johnny to ride off alone. During his late-night cruise, he spots a thug mugging a woman. The rider steps in, unleashing the penance stare, a power that forces sinners to feel the pain of everyone they've ever hurt. The thug's soul shoots straight to Mephisto, adding one more to the tally. Soon after, Johnny's bike drags him to the city's new cemetery. He wipes out there, only to wake up face to face with Carter Slade, the grizzled caretaker. Carter knows all about the Ghost Rider legend and tells Johnny this is just the beginning. Carter explains that by day, Johnny will live normally, but at night he'll transform whenever he's near evil. He also reveals that there were riders before Johnny. The last one was seen 150 years ago, the same rider who fled with the contract of San Venganza. According to Carter, the villagers of San Venganza were once good people until Mephisto tricked them all into signing a pact. Over time, they turned on one another, wiping themselves out. The land became cursed, and whoever controls the contract basically gains the power of a Super Saiyan. Carter thinks Johnny should stay in the cemetery church. No demon can enter holy ground. If Johnny just lived there, he'd avoid the transformations entirely. Pretty much a plot loophole that would have ended the movie. Instead, Johnny insists on apologizing to Roxanne for ditching their date, but Roxanne isn't having it. Furious, she tells Johnny he's still the same flake she knew years ago and storms off. Meanwhile, the cops find Johnny's license plate at the scene of the previous night's carnage, putting him right in the crosshairs of the law. That night, Johnny does something smart for once. He studies religious texts and learns he can control the rider's spirit if he masters the fire that lives inside every man. He actually starts to get the hang of it, until Roxanne shows up at his apartment, making it a lot harder to control that inner fire. She apologizes for bringing up the past and and turns into a total gasoline girl when she sees a poster of Johnny's dad, which even hides a little Daredevil Easter egg. Roxanne senses Johnny's hiding a dark secret and urges him to open up. He finally spills it. He's literally the devil's bounty hunter. Of course, she doesn't believe him. She storms out angry just as the cops arrive to drag Johnny off to jail. The detectives say the plate and the fire at the crime scene nail him to the wall, but Johnny swears he didn't kill anyone. That lands him in a cell with a bunch of sketchy criminals. Since everyone there is guilty, the rider instinct kicks in and Johnny transforms against his will. He wipes out 10 inmates in one go and even snags one of their jackets, putting together his classic comic book look. Once Johnny escapes, he's chased by the cops, forcing him to pull a Jesus and ride his motorcycle across water. He scales a skyscraper in true Ghost Rider style, where Roxanne sees him and finally realizes he's truly cursed. Out of nowhere, the air elemental shows up, demanding the contract of San Venganza. Johnny isn't in the mood for chit-chat and tries to fry him with his chain. The demon mocks him, saying he can't burn air. Johnny just smirks, spins his chain like a massive fan, and uses the heat to incinerate the smug elemental. Honestly, the villains in this movie are way too weak. Not much of a challenge at all. At least the next scene is awesome. Ghost Rider rides straight down the side of the skyscraper in full blazing glory. The cops surround him at street level, but Johnny calms himself when he sees Roxanne, then makes a break for it. Watching from the shadows, Blackheart comes up with the bright idea to use Roxanne as bait to get Johnny to hand over the contract. In a pointless deleted scene, Wallow and Blackheart stroll into Carter's cemetery. The old caretaker mocks them, saying they can't step on holy ground. Blackheart shrugs it off and walks right in anyway, because, well, the script says so. He beats Carter down, demanding to know where the contract is hidden, but the cowboy refuses to talk, so Blackheart decides to use Roxanne as leverage, something he could have done ages ago. But hey, villain logic. Back at Johnny's apartment, Roxanne finds Mac, who warns that dabbling in all this demonic lore is destroying Johnny. Their chat doesn't go anywhere though, because Blackheart barges in, drains Mac dry, and kidnaps Roxanne.
Oh no!
Johnny messed up big time. He had countless chances to hide Roxanne. Carter even warned him she'd be used against him. If he'd listened, Blackheart couldn't have exploited her, and Johnny would have had all the time he needed to find and destroy the contract, stopping Blackheart from ever becoming stronger. When Johnny bursts into the apartment, he finds Roxanne in danger and tries using the penance stare on Blackheart, but it doesn't work. Turns out the demon doesn't have a soul. Blackheart tells him he'll only release Roxanne if Johnny brings him the contract of San Venganza. With his tail between his legs, Johnny goes back to Carter and asks if he knows where the contract is hidden. That's when the old cowboy drops the bomb. He was the Ghost Rider who tricked Mephisto. He hands the contract to Johnny, telling him he's the stronger rider because his deal was made out of love, not greed.
Okay.
Hold up, if Carter knew everyone and their demon uncle was after this contract, why didn't he just destroy it? That would have stopped Blackheart from coming to Earth and kept Mephisto out of the picture. Instant win. Guess the screenwriter was a little too high when writing this part. Carter offers to ride with Johnny to San Venganza, warning that he can only transform one more time. Here's the thing, since Johnny still has to fight both Wallow and Blackheart, he could have asked Carter to save his rider powers and fight alongside him. 2 riders versus 2 demons would have been perfect, but nope, the movie wastes that one last transformation on a flashy desert ride scene.
Pretty good. Pretty dang good, lads! Yeah!
After that, the old cowboy wishes Johnny luck, hands him a sawed-off shotgun, and rides off into the sunset. Johnny could have taken the weapon to church and blessed the bullets with holy water. That way, maybe a shot to Blackheart's chest would have done the trick, but forget it. Plot convenience wins again. On his way to the village, Johnny gets ambushed by Wallow. Big mistake. The water demon lasts all of 5 seconds before Ghost Rider incinerates him with hellfire. Finally, the big showdown begins. Sadly, it's underwhelming. Johnny tosses a few fireballs at Blackheart while the actor chews scenery in the worst way possible. As the sun rises, Ghost Rider's powers fade, giving Blackheart the chance to grab the contract. He absorbs every cursed soul from San Venganza, transforming into something out of a goth X-Men audition. Not Nightcrawler, he takes on the name Legion. Unfortunately, nothing can touch this new villain. Bullets, fists, explosions. Even a spirit bomb wouldn't scratch him. But then Johnny gets an idea. Since Legion absorbed all those souls, the penance stare will work on them, forcing every single one to relive the crime crimes they committed in life. Legion never saw it coming. The power backfires, burning him from the inside out until Ghost Rider finishes him once and for all. In the final scene, Johnny is reunited with Roxanne. Just then, Mephisto appears, demanding the contract. Johnny refuses and tells the devil exactly where to shove it. Enraged, Mephisto curses Johnny to remain a rider forever, but Johnny accepts his fate. He'll keep the curse and use it against the forces of evil. Ghost Rider was ripped apart by critics and didn't fare much better with audiences. Honestly, the movie could have been so much better if it leaned into violence and made the secondary villains a real challenge. The fights are bland, even the final one against Legion has zero excitement. The skull effects are cheap, and Nicolas Cage phones in his performance as Johnny Blaze, except during the transformation scenes, which are the only real highlight. It's the kind of dumb popcorn flick that tries to please everyone, but if it had gone for an R rating, I'm sure it would have been way more successful. My personal rating, a 5.5 out of 10. At the box office though, it did modestly well, costing $120 million and grossing over $228 million worldwide. That was enough to convince executives to greenlight a sequel, which hit theaters 5 years later. So if you want me to cover Ghost Rider 2 here on the channel, hit that like button with your penance stare and drop a "I want it" in the comments. Without further ado, let's get to the kill count. The total number of kills in Ghost Rider was 30, and the Golden Body Bag Award goes to Blackheart. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I see you on the next video, and bye!